Roommate rules, which are meant to be broken. Genre, it's a romantic comedy, college life, enemies to lovers, and roommate chaos. Casts. Jungkook, the tattooed bad boy, rides a bike secretly soft, majoring in art, parties hard, but hides a tragic backstory. Van, smart, sassy, neat freak, literature student, hates noise and distractions, transfer in mid-semester. Jimin, Jungkook's chaotic best friend, always caught in the middle. Rowan, Van's crush turned friend, the golden boy. Moon and Sia, Van's girls, loyal, dramatic, and always gaming. Plot summary: when Van is accidentally assigned to a COED dorm due to a system error, she ends up as Jungkook's new roommate. She's furious, he's amused. She's organized, he's chaos. But there's one rule: no falling in love. Spoiler alert, they totally break that rule. It started with a mistake. A classic, ridiculous, absolutely avoidable administrative mistake that somehow became the beginning of something I would never be able to undo. Mid semester transfers are already hell, but when I got the news that all the girls' rooms were full and I have been assigned a shared room in the COED building, I didn't panic until I walked in and saw him. Leather jacket, tattooed arms, motorcycle helmet slung lazily in one hand. Smirk like he invented sin. My new roommate, John Jungkook. He raised a single eyebrow at me, like I was the one intruding. You are the new roomie? He asked, his voice a mix of amusement and disbelief. I blinked. You are a guy? He leaned against the doorframe, smirking, deepening. You're observant. Great. Just my luck. I was now living with a walking red flag on two wheels. The room was a disaster. A half finished painting leaned against the wall, paint splatters on the floor, an open ramen cup on the table, and what I could only describe as a black hole of laundry on his side of the room. I tightened my grip on my tote bag. This is temporary, I said firmly. I'm talking to the dean tomorrow morning. Cool, he replied, kicking off his boots and dropping them over in the middle of the room. Let me know how that goes. He threw himself onto the couch, arms behind his head, like he owned the place. I eyed him, like a granite waiting off to go. One with a smug attitude and annoyingly perfect bone structure. New roommate rule. I muttered under my breath, dragging my suitcase to the opposite side. No breathing near me. That night I drew the line, literally. A row of books stretched down the middle of the room, creating an invisible wall between his side chaotic and mine peaceful, organized, quiet. The irony, the books included Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, and Pride and Prejudice, the very definition of romantic tension and tragic attraction. He watched me from his bed, one brow raised. Seriously? He asked, clearly amused. You're building a book wall? I adjusted a hardcover copy of Ima. Boundary. It's called respecting personal space. Cute, he said, flipping on his side. Let me know when you start building the Great Wall of Austin. The next morning, I woke up to the worst possible sound snoring. Deep, guttural, bear in hibernation kind of snoring. I sat up and looked over the book wall. There he was, sprawled out, one leg dangling off the bed, a ramen cup on his chest, and hair sticking out in every direction. The sunlight made his tattoos glow faintly across his arm and collarbone. His lips parted slightly as he snored, peacefully, unaware of my growing urge to commit murder. I threw a pillow across the room. It hit him square in the face. What? He grunted, blinking groggily. What the hell? New roommate rule. I snapped, brushing my teeth from the bathroom mirror. Clean up your trash or I will burn it with a match happily. Still half asleep, he muttered. Do you threaten everyone before breakfast? You are lucky I didn't throw my shoe. Later the day, I met up with Moon and Sia, my girls, at the campus cafe. Tell us everything, Moon demanded, sipping her iced coffee dramatically. Yay, Sia added, eye sparkling. Is he hot? Unfortunately, I muttered. They gasped. Does he leave the setup? Moon asked, dead serious. He danced last night at 11 p.m. shirtless to Cardi B in sunglasses. Sia nearly choked. Oh my god, that's foreplay. Moon clapped. You are doomed. I'm not falling for him. They just gave each other a look. Back at the dorm, he left a note on my mirror. Bright yellow post it, scrawled in messy black ink. Roommate rule number 6. No falling in love, especially not with me. JK. He even drew a little wink face. I stared at it for a second, then grabbed a pen. Roommate rule number 7. You are not my type. One. Under it, I drew a trash can. Our war had officially begun. There, that was the boundary I was setting. Sure, I knew that the book wall was probably a silly move, but I need to climb my territory. I wasn't about to get tangled in whatever twisted game he was playing. Later that day, he came into the room. As I was studying, I barely looked up as he flopped into his side of the room. But I couldn't help but notice that he had a box of snacks with him. He opened a packet of chips with a loud crunch and signed in annoyance. Got a problem? He asked, smirking at me from across the room. No, but you are about to get one, I said, narrowing my eyes. You are still not cleaning up after yourself. I am eating, he said in a mock offense. Eating is cleaning. Who do you think I am? A slob? A person who leaves laundry everywhere. A person who walks into the room with dirty boots. A person who. Okay, okay, I get it. He put his hands up in mock surrender. What's the punishment? I'm scared. I stared him down, almost daring him to say something else. Well, he prompted, clearly enjoying the tension. I paused, smoking to myself as an idea formed in my head. Roommate rule number 8. No chips on my side of the room. His eyes widened. Really? That's your rule? Yup. He grabbed a chip and threw it right at me. Really, Jungkook? I said, not even flinching as the chip landed on my book. What's the punishment for that one? He teased, getting up and crossing the room to sit next to me. Before I could say anything, he plucked a chip from my book and popped it in his mouth. You! I started, but his smirk only grew wider. You're lucky I'm studying. Otherwise, I would punish you in a way you will never forget. He laughed at that, and I couldn't help but feel little annoyed and maybe a little impressed. A week later, things between Jungkook and I had only gotten more chaotic. The book wall was still standing, but so were our fairy exchanges. I felt like we were playing some kind of game I didn't understand, and I wasn't sure if I liked it or hated it. Then Moon, Sia, and I went out to a house party, and I quickly realized that Jungkook was probably the last person I wanted to see there. But, of course, that was exactly where he was. As usual. Wan! Moon shouted, spotting me. Come on, you have to join us. We are playing Truth or Dare, and we need more players. Great, just what I needed. An embarrassing game with him. I will pass, I muttered. But she grabbed my arms, and pulled me into the circle anyway. Jungkook was leaning against the wall, arms crossed, wearing his usual smirk. His eyes locked with mine as I sat down. Truth or dare, Van? He asked, making no effort to hide the amusement in his voice. Dare, I shoot back, refusing to back down. He smirked, widened. I dare you to kiss me. I froze, the entire circle gasped, and Moon's eyes were practically sparkling with excitement. But instead of panicking, something inside me snapped. Fine. I said, getting up from my seat. But I get to dare you right after. Jungkook raised an eyebrow. You're on? So I walked over to him, my heart thundering wildly in my chest. The room seemed to shrink around us, and the others were cheering, but I was aware of nothing except him. He leaned in, clearly enjoying every movement, and I felt my pulse quicken as I stepped into his personal space. I could feel the heat radiating off him as I kissed him. The moment our lips met, it was electric, just like I had imagined, but more. He responded instantly, his hands reaching for my waist, pulling me closer. It was wild, intoxicating, and completely unplanned. When I pulled away, my breath came in shallow gasps, my lips tingled, my mind buzzing, but I couldn't help but smirk. I dare you to take off your sunglasses, I said, completely thrown off by my own boldness. Jungkook stared at me for a second, clearly surprised, before he casually took the sunglasses off and tossed them aside. The crowd erupted in laughter, but all I could do was stare at him. The man was undeniably handsome, dangerously so.